Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May our homage to my teacher Bhante, Pinnan Lokuswami Nahanse, say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay. Now the discussion we did last week was about sense restraint. Do you remember about sense restraint? Okay. It was said that in that teaching by the Buddha that when a person does not have sense restraint, together with some things, that it is not easy to observe the mindfulness of the breathing. It's not easy to meditate on breathing or any other meditation. Okay. What were those things? Tell me the things that we already studied.
Restraining the eye faculty.
Yeah, that
Sense
is among the
faculties.
sense restraint. Yes, that's something we learned last week. And
Mhm.
before that, we also talked about some things which can distract us, stopping us by meditating on our breathing.
Abandoning 6 things. There are 6
Bhante,
things to
delight in
abandon.
work,
Yes, delight in work,
Yeah.
delight in talk,
delight in talk.
delight in sleep,
Yes,
and delight in company.
Yeah, delight in company. And last one.
Not guarding the doors of the
Excellent.
sense faculties.
Very good. Not guarding sense faculties. Okay. Now the last one we still have to study is the. Let me share the sutta with you. Would they say, because without having abandoned 6 things, one is incapable of contemplating the body in body. Which means any meditation about the body. What 6? Delight in work, delight in talk, delight in sleep, delight in company. Not guarding the doors of the sense faculties. And the last one, being immoderate in eating.
Right.
Okay. Without having abandoned these 6 things, one is incapable of contemplating the body in the body. When we are going to start a meditation, if we are having these qualities in our lives, that we are not started a meditation, which means, let's say, we are more distracted by doing all those other things, it is very difficult to bring our mind to a one point. very difficult to bring focus to our breathing. That's why Buddha say, without abandoning these things, incapable of doing that meditations. Bhikkhus, having abandoned these 6 things, one is capable of contemplating the body in body. What 6? Again, all these factors that we studied so far. And immoderate in eating means actually not knowing about the purpose of having certain food. Like whenever that we take the food, there is a kind of a contemplation that we do that this food that I'm taking is to nourish my body and to help and support me to live this spiritual life. And this way of taking the food won't make me any unnecessary like starving in the future and not won't have any tiredness in my body in order to continue my meditations. That is the spiritual, like the purpose of having taken the food. And the one when understands why the person is taking the food, that is called moderating having the food, moderation in having the food. Because the food not only support us for our health and our life, but it also stimulate our senses. So it brings many stimulations to our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body. So if one is only focused to that stimulation, that excitement of the food, having abandoned that purpose of having the food without understanding the purpose of the food, it won't develop our peace of mind. Food, if we take it moderately, can bring us mindfulness. That's the theme here. That's the main idea here. Right after finishing our food, it should not bring us restless mind. What do you think about this, Prince? Taking the food, and how about taking the food without guarding our senses? What would be the experience that we would get if we enjoying the food when we take the food, but without mindfulness? What do you think? Just for
You could get
starting.
craving. You could get attached to you love the food so much that you start craving for more of it and to
Yes,
enjoy the food as opposed to not eating just for the purpose of maintaining a healthy body.
yes, yes. That's very good. Yes. Now, when it comes to the mindfulness should not won't make actually it doesn't make any restlessness that when we have the mindfulness. Mindfulness means actually the clarity. Mindfulness means actually the peace of mind. So it has the awareness. Compared to the days that when we take the food without developing mindfulness, let's say without focusing to the meditation object or some kind of mindfulness object, when we take the food, normally it can distract our mind. It can bring restlessness to our mind. The mind can go here and there. Even when we are getting the food, that can make us like the restlessness and not contentment. Normally, when we take the food, if the mind is wandering, mind can be somewhere else. Even we are in the middle of the food. So in this understanding, the moderation in the food means that it brings us kind of an mindfulness and awareness. Why am I having this food in this place? Why am I having, what is the reason I take the food? So that understanding can create the correct mindfulness. So that's the main topic here, the main understanding here. when it comes to taking a food, Buddha has given us a way to contemplate. Buddha say you need to contemplate a certain way. Why are you taking this food? So let me share this teaching. Buddha say, I teach to the practitioner, come bhikkhu, be moderate in eating, which means be mindful and know the purpose of having the food, moderate in eating. Reflecting wisely. So this person, while taking the food, reflect in a kind of a way, a wiseful way, that this is how you should take food neither for amusement nor for intoxication. I should take this food not for amusing, not just for like taking it as an intoxication. You know, sometimes when we take the food, we make our mind intoxicated about that, excited about that. This food is the. Let's go a little more. You should take the neither for amusement nor for intoxication nor for the sake of physical beauty and attractiveness. Normally, when a person takes the food, when there is no understanding about why the food is taking, there can be some restless thoughts coming to our mind with greed. That is why it is said intoxication, which means there can be too much greed when one is consuming the food. Then when one develop mindfulness while they are having the food, they think, I take this food not for that greed, not for that intoxication, not for that excitement only. I don't take this food for only for the physical beauty, to make my body to be more attractive, but only for the endurance and continuance of this body. I take the food only for the endurance of the body, to continuance of the body, to keep it comfortable. For ending discomfort, I take this food for the end of the discomfort. If there is no food, if we have hunger, there can be tiredness. We won't be able to meditate. We won't feel any relax because of not having food. So one thinks, I take this food to end that discomfort, to maintain my body. And again say, and for assisting the holy life. This is just for assisting my holy life. Holy life means this practice, these meditations. Considering, thus I shall terminate all feelings without arousing new feelings. Here the feelings means that I terminate all feeling, means if there was any tiredness because of not having food, if there is any hunger. So one think, oh, I terminate this by having this food without arousing new feelings. There cannot be any other hunger for some time when I take this food, one thinks. And I shall be healthy and blameless, and I shall live in comfort. So this is said to be the exact reason why this meditator, the meditation practitioner, take the food. This is why one takes the food for the purpose. This is the purpose of having the food. This is the purpose why a person, according to the Buddha, should take the food. Not just merely for the excitement to the senses. When one understands this purpose of why I should take the food, the mind stops wandering, because that they have a kind of understanding why there is, why do I having this food. Okay, so normally every day when the Bhantes are taking the food, it is something the Buddha said to reflect this way. Every day when one takes the food, whether it's lunch or breakfast, one thinks, reflecting wisely, I should take this food neither for amusement nor for intoxication, nor for the sake of physical beauty and attractiveness, but only for the endurance and continuance of this body, for ending discomfort and for assisting holy life, considering, thus I shall terminate all feelings without arousing new feelings, and I shall be healthy and blameless and shall live in comfort. And this is the way, the wiseful way, when one reflects over and over again during their food intake. That's why one stops the unnecessary talks or speeches in that moment when they are taking the food. Why? Because in order to develop mindfulness, one need to reflect all over and over again. Why do I take this food? So this stops the mind's wandering, because the food plate can take our entire focus, our mindfulness. The food plate has this enjoyment, doesn't it? In the food plate, there is the sight, there is the color, there is the smell, the fragrance, and there is the touch, and there is the taste. Like we discussed earlier the last week, there can be sense objects for the senses. The sense objects are among the food, the plate. So if we focus to the plate, it can distract the mind, isn't it? Because there is sensual pleasures in the food, among the food. We make ourselves happy by seeing food and hearing about the food and tasting the food and the smell. So the mind can be restless. In that moment, in order to develop mindfulness, what one should do is that one should think, I take this food not for intoxication. I take this food not to have an attractive body. I take this food not to amuse myself. He said that in the commentary, some people said to be thinking that I take the food, but for the others, there is no food, like these delicious foods. Like sometimes a person can make pride over the food by thinking only I eat the delicious food, but the others doesn't have the delicious food. So there is kind of like pride, like unnecessary thoughts, the negative thoughts. So in order to let go of them, would they say you think, reflect wisely over and over again, what is the purpose of having this food? Once you know the purpose, it won't distract you. The senses become calm when you know why we take the food. The food we take to overcome hunger. We take the food to live a little more, to practice the meditations. And then we concentrate our mind because of the food. Okay, this is a very subtle point. We should not confuse this, because for most people in the world, for every one of us, the main source of enjoyment is the food. Okay, just search social media and you will find the most subscribed channels are about cooking, making food. People find so much enjoyment by hearing, talking, seeing, and tasting the food. Okay. The food is also, according to the Buddha, in the Buddha's precepts, he said that in the commentary that Buddha normally can give a kind of a rule to the food, but he didn't do that because the all beings are depend on the food. If there is a strict rule, just like harming living beings, that you don't take these foods, that can make people or the beings more more negative to the teachings, might think more negative about the teachings and won't follow, because if there was a rule for the food, it's very difficult to protect because there is so much stimulation in the food, there is so much enjoyment in the food. But still Buddha say, if you wanna develop mindfulness, train the mind, you wanna suppress some kind of unnecessary greedy thoughts, because that's the only way we can train the mind, because the mind is that much attached to the food. So there is one rule in the teachings that one is not taking food after 12 afternoon up until the next morning. That's only for the monastics, because food is not just nourishing our bodies, but it nourishes us our all own existence in the rebirth, according to the Buddha's teachings. Now, Buddha said that is why we need to have moderation in eating. We should know why we should take this food, why we are having this food, what's the true purpose of having the food. Then it is not enough to think once or twice. He might think, okay, today I take the food because I am hungry, to do the meditations. But Buddha said, think over and over again, over and over again. Not for the amusement, not for the intoxication, not for the attractiveness, not merely for having the beauty in the body. Actually, we don't need to expect that. It will definitely come to us. We'll look beautiful when we take the food. Okay. That doesn't mean we start to take the unwanted, unhealthy foods. Because we are mindful, we know what we are taking. But Buddha say, in order to bring mind to a peaceful state, think over and over again about the purpose why you are taking the food. Thanks to that reflection, thanks to that continuous thinking about the purpose of the food that I'm taking, that brings mind to the present moment. It brings mind over and over again to the present moment. So it won't thoughts and go aimlessly about the sights, sounds, smell, taste, and touch. When it comes to the monastics, so the Buddha say for the monastics, their challenge is to have the food without distracting their senses, having the food by guarding the senses. Isn't that only the food that we have the sensual pleasures? What else do we have the sensual pleasures? The objects for the senses. Are there anything else than the food in our lives? No. Whatever that we possess, everything we possess through our senses. Isn't it? Let's take our car. So the car has the sight, it has the sound, it has the smell, it has the touch. I don't think we eat car, but it has the touch. You know, our senses are always searching for some kind of possession, kind of an enjoyment through these objects. So the food is seen as the most distracted thing. In order to develop mindfulness, one need to be moderate in that and stop the unnecessary cravings by understanding why am I taking the food. And then the senses become easily peaceful, the senses will be easily restful. Now I'm going to share you some group of verses given by a certain Bhante, who was an enlightened Bhante. This Bhante was called Arahant Parasarya. He said, the monk Parasarya is a meditator, just like us. Okay, he was a meditator. When he was seated alone, secluded, these thoughts came into his mind. He was doing a meditation. He was in a seclusion, which means he is living alone for the sake of doing a meditation to practice mindfulness. He thought like this: as a human, one should work for one's own benefit. Okay? Whoever the human being, whatever the life that person lives, everyone has the senses, regardless of their faith, their language, their country, and where they are from, what their desires. All are human beings. As a human, one should work for one's own benefit, which means one should correctly know why do I have the human life? Why do I live my life? The own benefit. He should act without harming others. That's the first principle. That's the first instruction this enlightened Bhante gives. He should act without harming others. They should never harm anyone. Why? Because everyone loves their lives. Then he asked, what should be his duties? He was doing a kind of a Dhamma reflection. What should be his duties? What should be his behavior? Which means, how should he act? What are his own duties or responsibilities? What kind of a lifestyle should he want? A human sense basis can be used for his welfare or his harm. Now he said, human sense basis can be used for his welfare or his harm. The same senses can bring harm too. Even though that it looks like it brings so much enjoyment to us, it also can bring us harm. Let's see how. If he doesn't guard his senses, they will surely lead to harm. Okay. Okay, can you give me an example how the senses lead to harm? When it is not protected, how does it lead to harm?
So when you go to eating, if you overeat,
Exactly. Right, that's a
then
good point.
it'll affect your body and your health and your holy life and everything else. Or if
Yes.
you eat junk food, if you're not mindful and you eat things that are not really good for your body and you don't pay attention, mindful of it, then that affects your body as well.
Yes. And how about having only the greed? Like, let's say having the food, we only focus to the taste, and then it brings us more and more greed. And then regardless of the health, we would take the food, like unnecessary foods, like something that harm our bodies. And again, let's say someone is being criticized, someone is like, let's say someone was being blamed by another, so then one gets angry. Acting out of anger is a way that the ear was used unwisely, out of anger. Okay? Because the anger can be controlled, anger should be avoided, like it should be uprooted, it should be removed from our heart. But if we don't protect the senses, protect the ear, whatever enters to the mind can cause us difficulties, can cause us suffering, can cause us anger. So then we can even go for a fight because of that, just a simple word that we hear. That's because of not restraining the ear. same way, when we don't restrain our senses or the rest of the other senses, it can bring whatever there are. And if we don't protect the senses, it can lead to harm. But there the enlightened Bhante say, if you protect the senses, it can lead to your welfare. Now in this place, what you are listening to? You are listening to the mindfulness. You are listening to the teachings. You are using your eyes to see this, see your other friends and your teachers, you see that. Then in this case, in this place, you are using your senses to your welfare. Will this gonna be harmful to you? I hope not. Okay, let's go to the other verses. If we guard his senses, they will certainly lead to happiness. Then this means when you guard more and more your senses, it will bring you a higher happiness. It can bring you so much deep happiness. The mindfulness itself is a deep happiness. Mindfulness itself is a big happiness we can enjoy in within. But if the senses are left unguarded, it can go to every object of the senses and brings us restless mind. Okay, now as soon as one is guarding, they are having the welfare, but when they unguarded, it leads them to suffering. Now he said, therefore, the one who acts for his own good and the one who doesn't harm others should protect his faculties well and handle them properly. Then he said, if one need to work for their welfare and one does not want to harm others, they should protect their faculties and handle them properly. Okay. This means actually, as long as we are guarding our senses, it's a way that we giving others life, which means we don't harm others. We work for others' happinesses because we don't get easily angry, we don't get unnecessary greed, we don't get fear. So the ones who live with us will also be peaceful because our senses are under our control and we know the welfare of why we are using the senses. Now, do you remember the last week I shared you about the way the Buddha taught about the sense restraint? I think some of my friends wrote it down. There was the Ganaka Moggallana Sutta that I shared, the teaching that the Buddha instructed to this man how one should protect the senses. We talked about the eye sense door. Let's first see the Buddha's instruction.
Bhante, you don't take in the signs and features, Bhante.
Exactly. It was said that you don't take the signs and the features through the eye when you see a sight. And the follow-up question, which signs? What kind of sign? What kind of feature?
The gratifying features, Bhante.
There was two defilements we talked there, two negative thoughts we talked there. When the eye door left unguarded, something can invade the mind.
Was it greed and grief?
Exactly, very good. When the eye is not guarded, it can catch the signs and features from the sides, which brings greed and grief. So then the features and signs one should not take are the signs which brings greed and sorrow, greed and grief. Isn't that the way we learned? Yes. when the eye was not guarded, it can bring us these negative feelings, negative thoughts. Then let's say that we are in the time that we are taking the food. So in that place, there can be the food which brings us greed or the grief. So we can see these signs in the food which brings greed or grief. So that's normally how the eye become restless, I become unguarded, I become unprotected. Now here, this enlightened Bhante say, if you want to work for your welfare, you are not taking and you are not focusing to the food's its own features and signs. There can be in the food, there are some features and signs. You don't focus to them because it increases your restlessness, because it increases your greed. Can you see, friends, how much this is difficult to do? It's really hard to do. How much the great, like the peace of mind the Buddha had, the enlightened beings had, even that they don't take the greed out from the food that they are consuming. They don't put this focus to the enjoyments of the signs and features. To have the food without being distracted is really difficult. Okay. But when the eye was not guarded, the eye can lead to harm. That greed can cause problems. That greed can even start a fight. What happens if someone is doing the food, if someone is taking the food, if another person throw the food? Do we gonna get angry? Do we gonna get restlessness? Absolutely, because our mind can easily react to that experience, that what's going on there. So because of this, now the Buddha say, you protect your mindfulness by reflecting what is the purpose you are taking the food. And this enlightened Bhante say, therefore, the one who acts for his own good and the one who doesn't harm others should protect his faculties well and handle them properly. Now I'm going to share this again. Now here, this enlightened Bhante say, when his eyes chase after beautiful forms, if he doesn't understand the danger of that unrestraint, he won't be able to escape from suffering. When the eyes start to chase to the sides, if he doesn't understand the danger of that unrestrained, unguarding, he won't be able to escape from suffering. So there can be always suffering, pain, and stress, because the eyes are open to whatever the sights we see. So why the person need to guard the eye is because one need to enjoy the happiness, one need the peace of mind. When his ears chase after beautiful sounds, if he doesn't understand the danger of that unrestraint, he won't be able to escape from suffering. Not knowing about the removal of desire, if he smells things, being caught up with sweet fragrances, he won't be able to escape from suffering. If he recollects flavors thinking this is bitter, this is sweet, and this is sour, his mind will be tied by craving for taste. He won't be able to understand the nature of his mind. You see, the nature of the mind is not being able to understand because of this wandering into these states that we catch. It's a very subtle point. This is a very difficult point. If he recollects tangibles thinking this is lovely and is pleasant to touch, his mind will become attached to it. As a result, when the lust invades his mind, he will have to suffer with various pains. When mind objects enters his mind, if he is unable to guard his mind from those objects, he will have to suffer because of all the five senses. Like we discussed earlier in our last week, we learned that the mind can bring mental objects through all the other objects that we experienced. Now, if the mind is not guarded, it can bring all the problems into the mind. Okay. This body is like a beautiful and attractive painted pot made by a skillful artist. Okay. This is about the foulness of the body meditation. How he meditated about the senses, how he guarded his senses by being focused into the true nature of the body. It was the impurities of the body meditation. This body is like a beautiful and attractive painted pot made by a skillful artist. It looks really beautiful and attractive, but it is filled with pus, blood, and a lot of filth. Life is like something bitter with sweet enjoyment, a painful thing which has a pleasant attachment. The one who doesn't understand this lives like a one who licks a razor smeared with honey. He said life is like something bitter with sweet enjoyment. Life has an enjoyment, it is sweet, but it has bitterness. Why it is bitter? Because when we get over greed, we get more greed, even though the food is enough to be happy, but the food increases the greed and bring unsatisfactoriness. It brings unsatiability. And when it comes to the other enjoyment of the other senses, we go and listening to sweet music, we see sweet sights, and then we smell fragrances. But the reason is that when we enjoy those things, our greed increases, our craving increases, and that's the problem. Why? Because we cannot live with a peace of mind after enjoying these beautiful things. The peace of minds go away because it brings restlessness. That's why this Bhante say, the life is like something bitter with sweet enjoyment. Enjoyment is there, but the problem is else it increases our greed and craving, or else it brings us to grief. Oh, why did I couldn't have this? Why I couldn't have that? Why I couldn't go there? Why I couldn't stay here? That is the unnecessary part for the life. The enjoyment is sweet. A painful thing which has a pleasant attachment. Life is painful, but it has a pleasant attachment. Through the pleasantness of the attachment, we live the life, but it brings pain when the things changes. The one who doesn't understand this, if one doesn't know this, lives like one who licks a razor smeared with honey. Can we taste the honey smeared in a blade? This is like this enjoyment of the sense pleasures.
Mm-hmm.
The sense pleasures has a sweet taste. We need to get there, but it's very difficult, very harmful. Let's say someone gave you a little bit honey, like maple syrup, smeared with in a blade, like a knife. You go and jump and take the honey and taste it?
It wouldn't taste right because it would be mixed with blood.
Yes. Slowly, slowly, if you want to taste, you slowly, mindfully, you approach.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it could harm. The same way our sense pleasures. We need mindfulness to enjoy the world. Let's say enjoy the food. Be happy with the other people. to search for sights and sounds, smells and taste. But the outcome is greed. Outcome is anger. Outcome is worry, fear, insecurity. The one who, let's say, this is a very beautiful verse. Just give me a few minutes. If a man is passionately attached to the form of a woman, the sound of a woman, the touch of a woman, and the scent of a woman, he will have to suffer with various pains. He's talk about the monk's perspective, like the monastic perspective, because the male perspective, but this can be also applied in the perspective of a nun, of a perspective of a woman. For the woman, it is the sight of a man. So this enlightened Bhante say, if a man is passionately attached to the form of a woman, sound, touch, scent, he will have to suffer with various pains. These aspects of a woman flow into a man's thought like a rapid stream. But if he can stop that rapid stream, he is a great hero. He is the one who achieves goodness and lives by the Dhamma. He is a wise and skillful person. Even if he is a lay person, he will reach goodness righteously. Even as a lay person, he doesn't engage in unbeneficial things. Understanding the things clearly that shouldn't be done, he acts wisely and diligently. I have seen sometimes boys and girls like share thoughts with me, and sometimes they cry because this attachment actually to the senses, to the object of the senses, is very hard to cut off that stream. So that's why there is monastic life, the monk life, and the nun life. One should practice whatever is connected with goodness and whatever pleasure is produced by wholesome qualities. The combination of these truly is the supreme happiness. Even in a relationship, let's say they are developing good things, because he say whatever pleasure is produced by wholesome qualities. That means like the unconditional love, loving kindness, compassion, equanimity. So these good qualities, take them to the ultimate supreme happiness. So together people can develop good qualities to make them happy and make them like peaceful. And then this enlightened Bhante say that is the supreme happiness. Some people desire to take others' belongings by cheating them. Such people even having killed, beaten and inflicted suffering on them, try to forcefully grab their belongings. The wise person knocks out desire for senses using those same senses. It is like a strong person who knocks out one peg with another peg. Such a wise person develops 5 spiritual faculties: faith, effort, mindfulness, one-pointedness of mind, and wisdom. With these 5 developed faculties, he strikes the 5 senses. Indeed, he is a Brahmin who is freed from suffering. So on this Bhante say, developing mindfulness, this is the last one, that noble person has achieved true goal of life and has become established in the Dhamma, having acted according to the words of the Supreme Buddha. He has realized everything. He has prospered in supreme happiness. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, friends. So this is the instructions given by the enlightened Bhante. So by meditating and by guarding our senses, we'll be able to develop our mindfulness. So only by observing the sense faculties and guarding them, that we can make mind peaceful. Does this make sense? Did this brought you kind of such a understanding that by restraining the senses, that we can develop mindfulness? Yes? Okay. Okay, friends, that is the reason why it is very hard to meditate, because these things are in our lives and our senses are not guarded. Don't think it is because of some problem in the teachings or problem with the teacher. It's actually the lack of restraint over the senses. Okay, so don't worry that we will talk and we will meditate. So at some point we'll be able to attain the peace of mind. And may every one of us has the great opportunity to understand the Four Noble Truths in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, thank you so much for joining. May you be well and happy.